Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Ethan.
Today we're going to show you a couple ways to put your e-bikes on the back of your vehicle.
Next on Now Let's Review.
Okay, so e-bikes are not the same as regular bikes because e-bikes weigh more.
Yes, quite a bit more. So we have a couple options from Yakima. Big thanks to Yakima for sending these to us for us to try out and review. We have the on-ramp and the Stage 2. So these are two different bike racks, but they both are able to hold e-bikes. So we're going to see how they both work on the Rivian.
All right, what do we got first?
So first up, we've got the on-ramp. This is an interesting bike rack because it actually has a built-in ramp that you can use to roll the bikes up onto the rack instead of having to just lift them up. So
okay, so they call this the on-ramp because it comes with its very own ramp.
an on-ramp.
Yeah, start right there.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool. Something to keep in mind. The width of the ramp is 2 inches, and for a lot of bikes that's fine, but for some bikes it's not.
Especially with e-bikes, most e-bikes, I shouldn't say most, a lot of e-bikes have wider tires than 2 inches, so if you are going to use this with e-bikes, just keep that in mind. The e-bikes will still work with this, but they don't fit into the ramp, so you're going to have to kind of just balance them on the ramp as they go up.
You know what? Let's try it with 3 different bikes with 3 different width tires and show everybody how it works or how it doesn't.
Yeah?
All right, so thing is, you probably want to do the rear one first. So there's a little slot right here that we're showing you, and these little teeth go in here.
Move this out of your way.
You can put down the ramp. All right, so let's, I guess, show it with a bike that's meant for it. So we'll do it with this rad power bike here that has thin tires.
All right, so we've got the Rad City 5 here, and this has 2-inch tires that perfectly squeeze right into this ramp. And so you might have to scooch the back tire around a little bit, but once you got it lined up, there we go. I can just push it forward, and that is actually quite easy. The only problem really is just the weight of the bike. Another thing to keep in mind, make sure the pedals are aligned in a way that is not gonna run into this center post as you push it up.
Okay, so if you were by yourself right now,
yes,
I don't wanna help you.
Okay.
Could you do this?
Let's see.
I think your first step might be to mount this part.
Yeah, so
could you do it?
Without Zach's help, I will try to mount this.
Because I mean, my dream with this one was to find a bike rack that I could do by myself and I wouldn't need Jesse or Ethan's help.
Right, so without pinching the wires here, I'm gonna see if I can get that. So now I think I can let go. Yeah, look at that, I can let go, and now I can do the other straps. So that is nice. I would definitely, like you said, recommend doing this central kind of post mount here first, and then from there, you go in and you strap down the wheels. So putting this on by yourself is actually pretty easy as long as you have good control of the bike as it goes up onto the rack itself, and that wasn't anything I had a problem with. Again, the only problem was that the pedal ran into the post, but simply turning the pedal so that it wouldn't hit that was all I had to do. So that's on there, and I don't think that's going anywhere.
Yeah, there's 3 points of contact, which is nice. You got 2 of the wheels, and then up here you can adjust this to pretty much any part of the frame. Now let's just say, for instance, that that didn't work. For whatever reason, let's say that like it just wouldn't fit. Do you think you could mount it here? Let's just give it a shot.
Let's see. So I'm gonna undo this. I'm gonna hold on to the bike because this is supporting most of the bike's weight, and align it here. So then I would tighten this down just to stop it from sliding. Then I can do the same thing and tighten it up on this part of the bike. So yeah, you can do it on both the center post here or on this part of the frame. Either one works, as long as the frame of the bike will actually, fit with this, but I think most bikes will.
All right, so then the big question is, so that was meant for this. Let's try a bike like the Zoos, which has a slightly bigger than 2-inch tire.
I think the Zoos bikes have 2.5-inch tires, so they're probably gonna do okay, but they won't perfectly fit into it like this one will.
All right, let's give it a shot. And then you probably wanna wheel it up, do you wanna wheel it up the opposite way? That's the nice thing here is you can choose which side these go on, so whatever fits your style.
Now, one thing to point out is the fact that this post here is not in the center. It is offset, so you may have better luck aligning the seat post of the bike with this. For example, because if this bike was the other way around, this wouldn't be next to this post would be over here, so I wouldn't really have a good spot to mount this to on the center post. I could probably mount it to part of just the diamond frame here. So.
And I guess the big limiting factor will be your handlebars, whether or not they'll hit each other.
Right, so we'll try it from this end first and see if there's a good spot to mount it. And this is just gonna be a trial and error part of this ramp.
And again, I'm not gonna help Ethan because I wanna see, because the whole point of a ramp in my mind is that one person should be able to do it.
Right.
Now, Ethan's totally able-bodied. Let's see if he can do it.
Ooh, slipped off of the ramp there. And that is, again, because these tires are not exactly 2 inches. They're kind of sitting outside of the ramp, but it was pretty easy to get up. Nice. Again, though, the problem that I'm seeing immediately is that the seat post or the center post here is not lined up with where it is on the rack. So I'm gonna have to move this around. I might be able to just mount it here,
Yeah,
which it looks like I'm gonna be able to do. Running into the basket a little bit, but not enough that I'm worried about, you know, damaging anything. It's just kind of resting. So yep, first thing is this one, nice and easy. And then from there, just take these, strap the wheels down.
And I do want to mention, if your reflectors were in the wrong place, you'd have to spin the tire out of the way.
Same thing with the valve caps. You don't want to be clamping down right on or next to the valve caps. So if the valve stem is in your way, just again, rotate the tire out of the way, but that is not going anywhere. So I think we're good. And give it a good shake because I want to make sure this is, I feel like, the most extreme kind of rocking this would experience.
Well, and I haven't really tightened it into
That is
the
true.
hitch,
We haven't actually cinched it down. It's kind of just sitting here as a demonstration. But if we had really cinched it down, I think even now it feels good. So if it was tight, it would feel even better.
All right, so the bike rack itself is 42 pounds, which is, you know, pretty
It's a little hefty, yeah.
But what's the weight limit that you can put on it?
So this can hold two 66-pound bikes. These bikes are
Right at
in
the
the
limit.
mid-60s, so we're pushing it with this, but I mean, at capacity, it still feels good. It doesn't feel like it's struggling, but again, that's gonna limit the kind of bikes you can put on this, along with the track size, because with a bigger fat tire bike, usually the weight is like 70 plus, and the tires are gonna be so wide that I don't know if they'll really sit in these grooves very well. And as far as I know, they don't make a wider version of this for e-bikes or fat tire bikes, so this is gonna be for someone who has bikes with tires that are like 2.5 inches or narrower, and bikes that are like 66 pounds or lighter. So it kind of limits your options if you're looking for e-bikes.
Why don't we just push it? Why don't we just try and put a 4-inch fat tire bike on
I mean,
it, see what happens?
I would love to know, so let's do it.
All right, we're gonna do that for you. So I went and found the biggest fat tire we have, I think, or one of them.
Yeah,
This
4-inch
is
fat
4
tires
inch.
on the loved by everyone Ariel X class.
And just for the hell of it, let's keep the battery on, just see what it looks
Yeah,
like.
just, you know,
let's push it to
max
the
it
limit.
out.
Sorry, Yakima, we're pushing it.
This is important product testing.
Yeah, again, we're not really saying
Oh,
you should
God.
do this, but we want to see how these products work with all types of bikes.
I forgot how heavy this bike is. So,
All right, let's see if it works at all to have a ramp. He's lining it up with the ramp,
part of me wants the motor on
right?
to drive it up, because this is quite difficult. I honestly think I would have better luck with a bike like this, just trying to lift it, because
This does seem like a two-person job.
yeah, I don't want to hurt the Rivian if I drop this. Yeah, it's very, oh my God, like the wheels balancing on the outside edge of the ramp as I'm
So that's
riding
even
it
a
up.
question. First of all, will these straps go around the tire? Nope.
Nope, no. So,
All right, so yeah,
I
4-inch fat tire bikes are out on this bike rack. Even if you could get it up the ramp, which we did, it doesn't sit properly. You can't strap it in, and then even this part looks like you'd have trouble mounting it.
there's not a good spot really.
Yeah, I mean,
Because you can't go high enough up, at least in this case,
Right.
because you're limited by the one that's on the back. You could obviously switch them out, but I mean, that would take a little planning in advance.
yeah.
And this, you know, granted, this is a weirdly shaped bike. This is a very unique frame shape.
True.
However, I don't think that you're gonna have much more luck even with a more typically shaped bike. I just
Right.
think that the size and the
Well,
weight is just too
yeah,
much.
the fact that you can't strap these means that's
this,
out.
that this would be your only point of contact, and I don't trust a bike that's heavier than the weight limit to be held on by one of 3 attachment points.
And I mean, that it's not designed for it.
No,
so
we're
it's
just
not- it's not their fault.
you know.
We're just having fun.
Exactly. So yeah, I would say a bike like this is out, but for bikes with even tires that are a little bit wider than the 2 inches it recommends, it still works fine. So
But you know, we have a second bike rack,
we do.
and I think that one might work. So let's switch these out and see what we can do.
I think you're right.
All right.
I think I feel more safe lifting a bike onto it than trying to roll it up the ramp because I feel like it's less stable. But for getting it down, I think the ramp helps a lot.
So then when you get to your destination and you don't need it in the down position, you just secure the straps.
Just so that way they're not flailing about and running into things.
You put this into the down position, you pull this pin right here, and you lift this up into the up position. Now, I want to talk about something here. This is locked in the up position right now, but we're showing you a cutaway here of what it looks like looking down. And I don't know, I'm a little worried, Ethan. What do you think?
It is getting awfully close. I mean, you know,
I'm
you
within an
got
inch.
about an inch there, but
And this is metal on metal. Like
Yeah.
if we hit a bump, I don't know. It's not.
I would
it's
say
not hitting now, but like
you might want to wedge a towel in there or something just to, you know, keep it in place. Or you could probably even, you know what, you could probably tie a towel around here in a knot so that there's at least some fabric in between the two metal pieces, just because I would worry about it hitting that and scratching your paint on your lovely truck here.
I think a solution that I've come up with is this. I would recommend getting some kind of extender. This one happens to not only extend out, but it extends up or down. You put this in between your hitch and your bike rack so that you can get it a little further away from the vehicle. That would make me feel better. Yeah, I'd be a little bit afraid if it was this close to my vehicle. Now, the reason it's so close, on a Rivian, they happen to put the hitch like way underneath,
like
tucked in.
Inside the bumper of the truck.
So in most vehicles, this isn't gonna happen. All right, so let's pull this one and let's try the stage 2.
Sounds good.
Looks like I got the best part of the deal.
I guess so.
So not so light, huh?
This one weighs, I think, 66 pounds. So
oh wow, so 24 pounds heavier than the other one. So Ethan, this has a really cool integrated hitch feature, which I have not seen before. Basically, this piece expands out when you turn this knob. So I'm going to be turning that knob and you'll see it's coming out slightly. And so you slide that into the hitch, you turn this knob until this snugs up really tight.
So that just fills the gap then between this and the hitch.
Exactly, and so there's no wobble, which is really nice because on a lot of bike racks, this is a point of wobble. And with this super tight, there's no wobble. And then you might be saying to yourself, well, why doesn't someone just come along and turn this and take the whole thing off? Well, there is a lock on the other end of it, so you can lock it in place. I'll let you do the heavy lifting.
Time to abuse my youthfulness again.
Yeah, I would recommend 2 people for this.
Right.
All right, so same thing here. You are gonna be wanting to put in this safety pin, so you do have to make sure things line up. And that is always the tricky thing. All right, so we've put the safety pin in, and now we're just gonna tighten this. And
as we showed, as we tighten this, it's expanding that little piece inside, which is pushing up against the inside of the hitch.
And unlike the other one, the on-ramp where we had to run them up a ramp, we're gonna have to actually physically lift them into place. So let's get to that now.
Which one?
But as you can see here, these wheel wells are wider, so they're gonna take a fat tire bike.
Yeah.
At least I hope they do.
Now, just for a fair comparison, let's start with the Zoos, which we've been using for all of them.
Okay.
And
what's nice is you can fold this down
oh,
out of your
look
way.
at that. Now your front tire goes on the part with this
Right.
with this big thing that folds down. All right, so I'm just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Just lift it right up here, put the back tire there, front tire drops right in. I like how well this keeps it in place. Like that feels really secure.
So then I push this up, I'm gonna squeeze here.
Oh, I see.
That holds it down. And so basically it can't go left to right.
Oop. Oh, I see. This isn't actually secured in
slide
place.
those into the right spot.
That's actually nice, although I was a little confused by it at first. That's nice that these aren't actually stuck in place. You can slide this back tire mount thing forward and backward depending on the wheelbase of the bike. So that is a cool feature that I don't think the other one actually had.
Right, because I mean, bikes have all different wheelbases.
Right. It does make moving the tire a little more difficult. All right, so now that that's on there, that is very secure.
And you can kind of crunch that down so you're now really squeezing that tire. And
yeah, that feels really, really stable.
All right, let's see how an even fatter tire bike works.
Yeah, so let's go back to the aerial and try and drop it right on here.
What I'm worried about is the length of this strap. If this isn't long enough to get around the tire, then we can't do it.
And once again, just to further punish this bike rack, I'm just gonna leave the battery in here. So this is a 4-inch fat tire, fits perfectly in this little wheel well here, so that's very cool.
All right, so get your front tire the way you like it.
It's perfect. So put this thing up, then, oh, I see, you squeeze here. You can go, actually that's cool, you can go underneath the fender a little bit.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. It seems like if your fender is too tight.
Right, if it's really low profile right on the tire, I don't know that it's gonna work super well. But that's fine, that's not moving.
All right, and let's see how this strap works.
Yeah, that's the question is that gonna actually fit around the back tire? Doesn't look like it. Maybe? Can you get one click in there?
I don't know.
Dang.
I mean, maybe if you're super strong, it looks like about 3/4.
You know what I bet you could do? I bet you could deflate the back tire a little bit so that you could compress it. But then you would have to have a pump with you, which I mean, if you're going for a bike trip, you should bring a pump with you, but.
Another thing you could do is you could bungee this.
Yeah, you could, you know, without having to change anything, just take a bungee
I'm really
cord.
kind of surprised that they designed it to fit a 4-inch tire in the front, but they
didn't think to
long
lengthen
enough.
the.
I'm pretty sure that we saw that you can get a longer version of this as a kit.
I would hope so. I mean, that's a pretty simple part to replace.
We're gonna put that up on screen here, that you can get this longer kit, which kind of would have been nice if it came with it.
Right, I feel like having both from the factory would be good, so you can interchange it depending on the bike. Because
that would be my suggestion to Yakima. It's like you're selling it as a 4-inch tire, fat tire bike rack.
Right.
Why not include the right equipment?
Even if it came standard with the longer one, there's no
Right.
like you could still use it for the smaller tire.
Right.
So I feel like it should come just from the factory with the longer.
Yeah, because just a few
strap
inches
here.
longer and you have no problem. There's also a really cool locking feature which is integrated into the bike rack, which is easy to miss. You look right here, you're like, oh, well, what is this? Well, give it a little tug. And this is a cable that's integrated into the bike rack. You can go around your bike and then come back here and onto the post. It's got a little lock right there, and so you've just locked your bike to the bike rack, and there's one on the other side as well. Pretty cool. Okay, so we've tried out both bike racks, and I've actually driven with both of these. This one's super secure as well.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about loading and unloading. Did you have a preference?
It was nice to be able to unload with the on-ramp, having the ramp. Again, I felt more comfortable just picking it up and putting it on that, and then using the ramp as just the way to get it off. With this one, actually, I think it was very easy to also lift a bike onto because there's such a big like trench here for the tire. It just sits in nice and easily. It's very stable. I think both of them are pretty similar when it comes to loading, but unloading is definitely easier with the on-ramp. Again, though, that depends on the tire size. If you have a fat tire bike like this, the on-ramp doesn't really help you much. It's basically gonna be the same thing as this one.
The thing to be careful of, I guess, on this one is that this piece won't work if your bike has certain types of fenders. This one, it obviously can sneak under, and you might say, well, why can't you just put it out here where there is no fender? I guess you could, but at a certain point, if it's too far out, it could just slip off.
Right, but now with a bike like this where you can get it underneath the fender, I think this is a very stable mechanism. This feels great because not only is it pushing up against the tire, it's also gonna rest against the fork if it comes down to it. And this is also rubber right here, or soft plastic or something, so it's not gonna scratch anything. This will really just tightly clamp down on the bike, and it's gonna keep it very secure.
Yeah, in fact, it's steel underneath with like a rubber coating, so it's a really strong. This feels super, the fit and finish is just, the build quality is amazing.
Oh yeah.
But I would say this is your only choice if you've got a 4-inch fat tire bike. It's just really, I don't think, gonna work well on the other bike rack.
No, and luckily, of course, with the 4-inch tire slots here, you can put a smaller tire in it as well. It just has the capacity to go up to a 4-inch tire.
I just kind of wish that they raised their weight limit a bit, because I mean, we probably are pushing it. And then if we wanted to put a bike like, what do we have? We have
the Juiced Hyper Scorpion,
Yeah.
which in itself is over 100 pounds, so we would only be able to put that bike and like a normal non-electric bike probably.
Right.
Something we've run into, especially you having taken these bike racks actually out and about on trips, is that you cannot open the tailgate while using either of these bike racks. And that is frustrating, of course. Now, obviously, yes, you could open the tonneau cover, reach in and grab it, but if you have something heavy in there that you need to drag out, you're not gonna be able to without taking the bikes off, taking the bike rack off, putting them aside, then reinstalling these after you take it out. There's a whole process, and it's really unfortunate that there's no way to do that.
Yeah, except Yakima came up with a solution for that, and we've got that in an upcoming video. You're gonna wanna see that if you wanna solve this problem, which a lot of people have, because like Ethan said, if you've got a hatch and in the back you've got your dogs or something, you wanna let them out, it's a big pain. But this new product they have is gonna solve that.
Well, I'm excited to see how it works, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that when it comes out. And if you wanna see any other videos that are reviews of not just bike racks, but the bikes themselves, make sure you subscribe. We've got plenty of content that's out already, plenty more on the way. We'll see you next time. Now let's review.